Hello, what do you say, everybody? Thank you for watching. Hello, gang. It's the American Doofus Show. Don't be a doofus. Thank you for tuning in. Lots going on tonight. Kind of try to recap everything. Take a look at where things stand at the moment, if you will. So, without further ado, let's jump right in. And first thing I want to do, again, if you're just joining us, hello, everybody. Thanks for coming in. It's the American Doofus Show. Don't be a doofus. Do hit the like, the share, the subscribe. And if you want to join the chat, please feel free to do so. And I'm going to jump into sharing some things here. First of all, I'm going to do something I've wanted to do just to give you an idea of traffic, general traffic in the region we're talking about. And you can see how all the air traffic is avoiding the area of Ukraine and the area in question. This is a flight going to Copenhagen. This is a flight going to Dallas, Fort Worth. Okay, that's actually in Slovakia, not in Ukraine. And this is going from Belgrade to Moscow. There don't seem to be any drones or any surveillance aircraft, at least with their transponders on at this time in the Ukraine. Again, if you're just joining us, hello, everybody. I'm not on the Streambook page at the StreamYard page at the moment, so I can't see comments, but I will get back there in just a couple of minutes. Thanks for watching. If you're just joining us, what do you say? It's the American Doofus Show. Don't be a doofus. Real quick, before we get started with all the other stuff, I want to give you an idea of the number of flights. This is the number of flights currently in the air as we are broadcasting live, 10:37 p.m. on the 22nd day of the second month of the 22nd year of the new millennium, 222-2022. And I want to give you an idea of the number of flights over the United States at this time. Again, 10:37 at night. I don't know if before I started watching, I started watching flight tracker radars of various types when I would have a loved one traveling somewhere, especially somebody going overseas, and be able to track their flights safely. And until I did that, I never really considered the number of planes that are in the air at any one time. And thus, I'd never really considered the real devastation. You know, I talk about solar flares. I talk about a lot of potential things on here that could be harmful, but volcanoes, solar flares, EMPs, electromagnetic pulses. If there's something that impacts aviation on a mass scale, you can see the number of flights that even, at this time of the night that would be impacted, that would be, and the number of people on each flight. It's just, hey, somebody might be in my driveway. The way Doofus dog is behaving. Oakley, come here. My apologies. It's live. It's live. It's life. as well. So again, I just wanted to give you an idea here in the United States, and then we go across to Europe, and the number of planes that are in the air. Of course, again, we see this big gap right here where the cursor is. That's Ukraine, and then down here's all of Africa. Not a lot of flights in and out of Africa, but this corridor here is jammed with flights, and a lot of there are a lot of possibility for pilot error, for control tower error, air traffic control. Bunch of planes in relatively tight quarters because they can't fly over Ukraine like they normally would. See a lot of bends and a lot, basically it's just this area is too volatile at the moment to fly into. So I'm going to hop back over here to StreamYard for a moment, say hello to everybody. Hi, Pat. Let me go. Hi, Sissy. Hi, Pat, T-Rex, Casey. Good to see everybody. Thank you all out there for watching that aren't in the chat. Always appreciated. And I'm just going to leave that up there for a moment. Leave the up there for a moment, but I'm going to zoom in. So hang on just a second. I'm going to zoom in just in case there's any sudden traffic flying over. Here's Iran, Iraq. Just in case there's suddenly a lot of traffic flying over Ukraine, it might be an indication that there are military events happening. So I'll keep that up for a second, and hope everybody's okay. Hello to everybody. I just want to give a brief recap here in the beginning of this. I got some things to show, and of course we'll be interacting with the chat in case you got questions or things you want to talk about. But in the past week, just in the past 7 days, there was an agreement in the United Nations that Russia would pull its troops back from the borders. I don't know if anybody remembers that. It seems like such a long time ago. Less than a week ago, Russia said it would pull its troops back from the borders. It's been probably 6 weeks ago now. Chris is our security and terrorism expert, and Chris and I did an episode on all of this, including how potentially this could be a part of step one of a grand strategy where the United States gets drawn into a two-front war. We were talking about this, a couple of months ago. You can go back and check that episode if you'd like. But the point is, right now, we're at a situation where not only did Russia not pull its troops back as they said they were going to, there are now 190,000 troops surrounding Ukraine on three sides. The only side they're not surrounded on is the border with Poland, and the United States has troops in Poland. We'll get to that in just a second. So instead of removing the troops, they've obviously planning something much, much bigger, or at least if they're not going to act, it is incredible political theater to have as many assets positioned as they are, and to leave as much of your country exposed as you are doing. You wouldn't do that just to take back two small areas of Ukraine, in my opinion, and in a lot of other people's opinions. So then it was announced there's going to be a summit. Okay. Putin and Biden are going to meet. And that brought hope that, okay, maybe we're not going to head into a conflict. And it was said, well, before Putin and Biden meet, the two secretaries, the Secretary of State and the Foreign Minister of Russia, Secretary of State of the United States would meet, and they would meet on Thursday, day after tomorrow, as this is as we're talking live now. And all of it was under the precursor that Russia wouldn't invade. So that's what's happened thus far this week. Okay, now just yesterday, Putin gives a speech, and President Putin gave a speech that many thought was the sign of a madman, that he was rambling, that he was, I didn't hear it that way. I heard him lay a case out before the people of Russia, describing to them through his eyes his vision for what Russia will become if they follow him. And he was laying out the grounds to invade Ukraine, in my opinion. And it lit a fire under a bunch of people. That's that speech he gave. Now, if it was just, if it was just a move in 3D chess, it was a very, it was a move close to check, not checkmate, but close to putting somebody into check. With how he talked and what he talked. Basically, he said Ukraine doesn't exist as a country or as an independent state, an independent nation. It always has and always will be part of Russia. A lot of the eastern part of Russia agree with that. Okay, a lot of the eastern part of Ukraine agree with that, because they were part of Russia for so long until things were broken up with the fall of the Soviet Union, and then basically that didn't have the impact that the United States and other democracies wanted it to have. The fall of the Soviet Union did, because Putin basically put in, or there were pro-Russian, I shouldn't say Putin put them in, because I don't know that for a fact, okay? But wink, wink, nod, nod. Pro-Russian leaders, including the dictator of Belarus, were all put in, and in 2014, there was a civil war in the Ukraine. And basically, they ousted the pro-Russian leader. Since 2014, the past 8 years, Ukraine has been moving much more politically, economically, and probably ideologically, most importantly to Putin, towards alliances with NATO, the United States, and the West. And Putin falsely claimed that Ukraine had nuclear weapons. The Ukraine was one of the countries that stopped constructing nuclear weapons, and has since said they don't want anybody putting nuclear weapons in there. Anybody meaning us. Okay? So Putin gives that speech, and as he's given that speech, at the end of it, he signs paperwork that says Russia recognizes these two regions as independent nations. And then he says they're going to be sending in troops that he terms peacekeepers. And again, I wonder if that is, if that's something that is a jab at the United States, because let's be honest, we send our military in often under the guise as peacekeepers. So they crossed the recognized border of Ukraine. Russian troops did, and they went in, and there's it's amazing, the mainstream medias that you would expect to have the first breaking top of the line coverage are being scooped by TikTok and Twitter. And it's the time, it's the age we live in. And of course, you don't know if, you shouldn't just share a TikTok or a Twitter or anything and assume it's the truth. With some of the Twitter stuff, you can geolocate, and of course, looking at timestamps, but that's neither here nor there. I'm getting off on a little bit of a tangent. There's tons of evidence, and now it's starting to filter in after 2 days into the actual mainstream media, where they're showing pictures of the troop movements that we've been talking about and showing on here through social media. So they're starting to catch up. Somebody asked me as Putin was speaking, what do I think the response will be? And I wrote simply talk, and then the threat of sanctions, and then I would say more about it after Putin was speaking. And that's what happened. There was first talk, and the first bit of talk was, well, if he actually goes back into areas he's already been into, is that really an invasion? And somewhere overnight, the United States decided that was indeed an invasion. And then the sanctions came. And for those that are interested, I'm going to get to the sanctions. I'm going to get into a little bit of stuff. So I got to say hey to somebody. I told them I wouldn't mention their name. They got the same initials as mine, only they're flipped around. And sent me an email and said, I was the first time watching one of your videos. It was like sitting in a 45-minute college class about current events, only it didn't seem like it took 45 minutes. So thank you. I appreciate that if you're back out there watching. That's what we try to do here. We try to give you things to think about. We don't tell you how to think or what to think. I do voice my opinion, and I say it's my opinion when done so. And of course, everybody is free to disagree with my opinion, and often does, and that's cool. The sanctions that have been imposed are potentially not going to have a lot of effect, in my opinion. They're not going to have a lot of effect on Russia. The talk of shutting the Russian economy down, Putin started stockpiling money for this. And I saw a report in one of the financial sites that in December alone, he had stored up $500 billion in preparation for what was coming. This isn't something that's spur of the moment. This is something that has been in the works for a long, long time. So today's sanctions are imposed. Now, that kind of throws the ball back in Russia's court. Of course, yesterday, the U.S. embassy staff moved out. Zelensky spoke last night and basically said, nothing, don't worry about anything tonight. He was right. Nothing major happened tonight. He spoke again earlier today and said, we'll let you know if things, the citizens will be the first to know. And he also, reports are that he ordered the inscription, which means calling back to duty. He's calling back to duty everyone that has served in the Ukrainian forces, supposedly 190,000 reservists. So anyone that's had prior training is going to be called back in as reservists. And he said that they will fight in the villages, they will fight in the towns, they will fight till the last person, because it's their land, they're on their land, and they are prepared to fight for it. The ball is kind of in Russia's court at the moment. Now, after Zelensky speaks, the UN Security Council comes out. Again, I'm still retracing everything that's happened this week thus far, and I'm already 19 minutes into the episode, but a lot's happened. And if we lose sight of some of it, other things don't make sense. But if we have a decent timeline, then it's like, oh, well, yeah, that, Russia was supposed to take their troops out. Instead, they've refortified, and they've gone, bonkers crazy over bringing troops into that area. If all the reports are to be believed. So the UN Council meets last night. The ambassador of Russia, the ambassador from Ukraine have a brief little, giving each other the diplomatic middle finger, and that was it. So then Biden, the sanctions are announced, and Biden's going to speak to the country today. And I did a live earlier this afternoon in anticipation of him speaking. He was supposed to speak at 12:45, so I went on a few minutes before that. They said he moved it to 1, and then 1:30. Then they said 2. I got off, around the 1:30 hour. I shut it down because I didn't think he was going to be speaking. And then he finally comes out. They say he's going to be on at 2. Finally comes out about 2:15 and lays out the sanctions. And I don't think that's going to impact. Now, he also said, and this hasn't been talked about a whole lot, that the United States is going to be moving some of our troops into the Baltic region. The Baltic is on the border of the northern part of Russia. I'll hop back over here to Flight Tracker in a second and give you an idea for those that need visuals like I do. If I see something, I understand it and learn it better than just hearing about it. So Biden gives his speech, and at the end of it, he says that we're going to put an additional 1,000 troops in the Baltic as well, in the Baltic nations, as well as F-35 fighter jets and combat helicopters. So again, the ball is still in Russia's court as we know it, as we speak at 10:57. And I'm still recapping everything as we go along. Ukraine called up their reservists. Footage of Russian embassy personnel burning documents, and Russia has ordered all of its diplomats back to Russia. This is within the past 5 hours. Japan has told all of its citizens to leave Ukraine. The two foreign ministers, the foreign minister of the United States, the foreign minister of Ukraine, held a joint press conference. And basically, they both, the major takeaway to me was they both said there's a plan A and there's a plan B. And they both said plan A is to continue negotiating, continue with sanctions, and continue with everything we can do diplomatically. And the prime minister or the foreign minister of Ukraine says plan B is we fight to, every man and woman, every citizen fights in every village, in every city, in every town. That's when he said that. And I hope I haven't talked too long, that all my channels I got up here to show you things haven't reset, because I'm pretty sure I've got that segment where he says that and just that. But anyway, when it came to the U.S. counterpart, Blinken says, Secretary of State Blinken says, option A is diplomacy, sanctions. Option B is, and he doesn't lay it all out. He says option B is something that Russia doesn't want. Okay. Now keep in mind, Biden has said that we're not sending troops into Ukraine. That doesn't mean we won't send missiles, warheads, rockets, bombers into Russia or parts of Ukraine where Russian troops are. Okay, just because none of our troops are going in doesn't mean we will not do anything militarily. I would prefer, instead of me saying that, somebody from our administration said that, but they haven't. Okay, they haven't. And that makes us, as the United States, appear weak, in my opinion. You know, I'd like to see, uh, gosh, what was it, guys? Um, Kurt Russell as Wyatt Earp. I'd like to see him come out there and say, look, get your troops out, or we're coming and I'm bringing hell with me. You know, whatever the line was, it was close to that. That, I think, would get through to Putin. Biden looking like the old guy and like the Muppet character sitting in the balcony yelling, "Get off my yard, you know." I don't think it's concerning. All right. No, and anybody that's out there going, "Oh, we do not want Trump." Okay, we do not want Trump. I just want a general, Secretary of Defense, somebody in the administration to stand up and say, look, just because we aren't sending troops doesn't mean there aren't going to be military ramifications unless you get the hell out. If that's our stance. It hadn't been said, to my knowledge. Maybe it shouldn't be said. Maybe I'm wrong, and I've been there before. I'm perfectly all right with that. But the foreign ministers gave those two outlines, and basically that's where we are at the moment. The ball is in Russia's court. Now, does Russia come out and say United States troops and weaponry on our borders in the Baltic states are grounds for war? Does something get shot down intentionally or unintentionally? You know, if the United States wants to go to war, we go to war. If we don't have an excuse, and this is history for those that are getting ready to bombard me and get mad at me, this is history. For those of us that studied it a little more intently than what you get in your average high school class, if we want to go to war, we will go to war. There are some that even still now think that we knew Pearl Harbor was going to happen and we let it happen just so that we could get into World War II. I shudder to think that would be such the case, but that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the Gulf of Tonkin as an example. I'm talking about a war that was started over another naval ship called the Maine. And not only was that probably sabotaged by our own people, wasn't to give us an excuse and to rally people, because it was, before Remember Pearl Harbor, it was Remember the Maine. And again, I'm getting off on a tangent on side things. Let me hop back over here and check out the chat. There's 77,000 troops in Europe already. Yeah, there's a lot of there. We've always had troops in Poland and Romania. You know, transferring 1,000 from Italy is not. I don't think it's a real deterrent. The jets, the choppers, they're probably so, but 1,000 people in that vast of a span is not going to be a huge deterrent. So my concern is they're being put up there as bait, and I hope that's not the case, because the ball is in Russia's court at the moment. My power flickered earlier. T-Rex says, yeah, if there's an EMP, all the planes fall out of the sky. Yes. So our Our atmosphere is so very important, and we take it for granted, just like we do a lot of things here, in my opinion. So, again, thank you all for watching that are watching, and I'm going to start getting into a couple other things. So I will not be on the StreamYard page or be able to see the chat for a few minutes here. I've been communicating with Scooter Castor. Scooter Castor is somebody from the United States, born in Ukraine, and now back in Ukraine. And I'm trying to get her on the show to give us just what we do over here, what I do over here. I get somebody in the area where it's really happening, and we're able to see and hear and know what's really going on. Trying to do the same thing in Russia and Ukraine. I haven't had responses from anybody yet, by the way. I'm just saying I'm trying. But Scooter Castor has all of the sanctions that Biden laid out. Full blocking sanctions on two significant Russian financial institutions. Again, that's debatable how disruptible these two banks will be. Hopefully, and the economists that I've heard have said these two banks will hurt the rich people. They will hurt Russia's government, but they won't impact the average Russian citizen in their day-to-day business or their day-to-day banking. So if that's the case, it's a strategic move, and it's a smart move, in my opinion. Full blocking sanctions on the Russians' elites and their family members. Secretary of Treasury will determine that any institution in the financial services of Russia is a target for further sanctions. And, she also has fun stuff on here, like a topless protester arrested outside Kiev train station today, chanting, "Don't believe, don't panic, don't run." So, there's that. But she also has some, pardon me. This is a picture of the embassy in Kiev. It's Kiev instead of Kiev. Okay, it was Kiev when it was part of the Soviet Union. It's Kiev. KV, YV. Mercy. I apologize, but this is one of the pictures of from the Russian embassy. Here's another. Here's a different angle, and it's hard to see with this little screen like I've got it right now, but I'm just giving you an idea so you can go and check out for yourself. She was right up near the Russian embassy with this, and saw people bringing papers in. I don't know if this is Unity concert in Ukraine today. Again, just give you just trying to get a feel for what's on the ground. I thought she had a couple other pictures, but it was somebody else I was looking at on on Twitter. So let's see, where should we go from here? This is from Radio Free Europe. Okay. Let me go. This is from Radio Free Europe. And you run it back here.
Патриотизм поразбивать ребенка.
And these are separatist rebels trying to shell a power plant.
За останні кілька днів ворог активізував свою активність. Нам спокійно. Внутрь! Зараз напишеться. Це що? А? Може бути. Пакети газу, здається, відстріляли, не точно. А, це було по-русски.
Бесконечные.
Не только 3 дня. Да не 3 дня, сейчас просто не заканчивается.
Ну и что это?
So this, hold on a second. I say, all the time, I'm not telling you what to think or how to think, just giving you things to think about, and that if you only look one way, you only see one thing. And a lot of people have said, well, you only show CNN on here, or you only, and I don't show CNN. I do reference CNN a lot because they're closer to the middle than any of the other mainstream. And somebody said, you never show anything from Fox. I do on occasion, and this is one of those times because of the headline. Putin has now made a declaration of war, according to one of the Republican congressmen, and we're going to give him a couple of minutes listen here. And this is important because of the factions in the United States. First of all, to my knowledge, Putin has not declared war. He has broken international law, technically by crossing the existing border of the Ukraine. And to my knowledge, there has not been a war declaration. He went to the equivalent of Russia's Congress and had them approve the use of Russian military outside of the Russian borders. So he's got the green light to invade anywhere he wants at the moment. But I don't like that it says there's been a declaration of war, because that's going to trigger things possibly that don't need triggered. Again, the ball's in Russia's court.
What does he need to say in this moment to show strength, knowing there was a reluctancy to call this what it was, an invasion at first by this administration, but now they are?
Well, this president has shown weakness for the last year. That's why we're in the mess we're in right now, I think. And deterrence is always the key. But I think what the president needs to say now, as he wanted to wait after an invasion to do these sanctions, he said they're going to be swift and severe. That's what I want to hear. And he has to sanction the oligarchs, the banks, and export control in terms of technology and like semiconductor chips. If he does this, he provides some deterrence. But, Sandra, I'm afraid the damage.
Okay, this said it was an hour ago, but this guy, and it's dark out, so this guy obviously, I would think, already knows that these things have been done. So, I paused it here because a key thing I left out when I was recapping is, and I mentioned Japan, but I didn't go all the way through with the idea. Taiwan and Japan have both said they are going to stop selling vital electronics, including computer chips, to Russia, which can be a major significant thing, and it's something I didn't anticipate. In all honesty, I didn't anticipate the UK acting as quickly as they did. I didn't anticipate Germany going through with shutting down the pipeline with Russia. France has been real quiet. Italy's been real quiet. I anticipated those two, but I thought Germany might not be as on board as they seem to be. Anyway, let's listen to just a bit more.
Which has already been done.
And I haven't listened to this, so we're watching it together.
I've been calling for these sanctions, particularly Nord Stream 2, that we congressionally mandated sanctions on, and then the president waived it. I had a bill that passed the House that would take that waiver away from the president, and they killed it in the Senate. For God's sakes, it's time now. This is an invasion. The executive order that Putin sent out that was approved by the Duma.
Okay, this guy's just trying to. He's got to run for election in a few months, and he's just trying to get attention. This is from the BBC, British Broadcasting Corporation. Where are Russia's troops positioned and why? It's a 2-minute video, and this one will probably run at least half of it.
And ordered troops into the territories.
So you can get an idea where they're at.
Unidentified military vehicles were filmed near them. And Vladimir Putin says any Russian troops will be peacekeeping, to which the US says this.
He calls them peacekeepers. This is nonsense. We know what they really are.
All this has come after months of a Russian military buildup near to Ukraine. Back in mid-November, this was the warning from NATO.
In recent weeks, we have seen large and unusual concentrations of Russian forces close to Ukraine's borders.
Moscow said this was alarmist, but neither the troops nor the concerns went away. On the 8th of December, the Washington Post published this recent satellite image showing Russian deployments. It reported a US estimate of 70,000 troops close to the border. Russia didn't deny this, but in an address in late December, President Putin said this.
The strengthening of US and NATO military groupings on Russia's borders and the organization of large-scale military maneuvers are a serious cause for concern.
To this, we can add Putin's long-standing frustration that NATO has expanded further east, and by January, Russian troops were arriving in Belarus. It neighbors both Russia and Ukraine, and Moscow said its actions were about repelling external aggression. It talked of compromises too. But by February, this was the American assessment.
We're in a window when an invasion could begin at any time.
On the same day, Russia claimed our country is not going to attack anyone. But Russia's military activity continued. There were naval maneuvers in the Black Sea. This satellite image showed helicopter deployments close to the border. Another showed a new pontoon bridge in Belarus, less than 6 kilometers from Ukraine. At this time, Russia was also claiming it was pulling some troops out. It released these images to prove it, but NATO was unconvinced.
So far, we have not seen any sign of de-escalation on the ground.
By this point, the Americans were claiming there were 150,000 Russian troops in place, which brings us to this week, with Vladimir Putin talking of Ukraine as ancient Russian soil and ordering his troops into Ukraine. And while the West imposes new sanctions, he now considers his next move.
Okay, so the BBC seems to agree with me. The ball's now in Russia's court, and that was a pretty good recap. I'm just doing a quick scan here to see if there's anything new. I'm going to put you all on the flight tracker here for just a second while I do a quick scan and see if there is anything new or breaking. Okay. Let me see. I'm getting messages here, but I'm not able to open them up on my phone. I've got to open them up on my laptop. So if you happen to be watching and messaging me, I'll get to you in just a second. I can't do it on my phone. I can only do it on my laptop. I don't have the app on my phone. I've got an old phone and not a lot of memory, like me. And it doesn't appear there's a lot going on. So that's a good thing. Flight radar coming out of Kiev. We've got that's a commercial plane, and I'm going the wrong way here. Let's see if it's just one plane. If there's several planes, Kiev, it appears that I can just get on that first one. There we go. Okay, and then, all right, and okay, we've got one of the surveillance vehicles up. Let's see where it departed from. Okay. It must be going home, as it has. Yeah. Yeah. This was here. We can track its path, and it's going home. So it was. There was a drone up until just moments ago, and if I get this up on StreamYard so you can all see it, okay, I do. This was moments ago. Here, let me click that and get rid of me so you can get a little better view of that. The plane had been going back and forth across eastern Ukraine here. Again, this is where a lot of the troops are deployed. This is the border between Ukraine and Russia, and Kharkiv, a very important city, a rail hub, a transportation hub, some pipelines coming up through there. And then this Luhansk and Donsk, this is the area that President Putin of Russia has recognized as free and independent from Ukraine. So you can see where the surveillance. I'm assuming it's a drone. If not, it's one of the big planes. You can see the path it was taking. A lot of time spent monitoring what's going on in this area. So obviously major area of concern. So let me hop back over here. We're coming. I wanted to be on 45 minutes. I've been on 49 minutes. Let me see if I can do that. Let me see if I can check my DMs. I'll leave this screen up for just give me a second here. Let me see if I can check my DMs. And again, thanks for watching, everybody. I'll be on the StreamYard site in just a second and get back to answering some texts. Okay. All right, let me get to this. All right. Thank you, Sissy, for sending me this. China said today, Monday, or I'm sorry, yesterday, Monday, it will impose new sanctions on U.S. defense contractors, Raytheon Technologies and Lockheed Martin, due to their arms sales to Taiwan. Remember, we've been talking about this for months, that this is not a one front plan potentially, that this could be a way to finally bring the United States to its knees, which Russia and China would both like to see happen, I believe. Shown as Raytheon's integrated defense system. Okay, I can't see that. China said it will impose new sanctions, stepping up a feud with Washington over security and Beijing's strategic ambitions. Again, remember, the Olympics are over. I think Putin waited until the Olympics were over simply out of respect to China. If it had been anybody else, he'd have been knee deep in Ukraine by now. Foreign Ministry spokesman Wang Weibin announced the move at a daily press briefing, citing a newly passed anti-foreign sanction law that took effect in 2021. China once again urges U.S. government, this is a quote from Wang, China once again urges the U.S. government and relevant parties to stop arms sales to Taiwan and sever military ties with Taiwan. China will continue to take all necessary measures to firmly safeguard its sovereignty and security interests in accordance with the development of the situation. Taiwan is a democratically self-governed island that communist-ruled China claims as its own territory. There was a split in 1949 during the revolt in China. The U.S. has no formal relations with Taiwan, but is its main ally. That means we don't have an embassy there. We don't have formal relations, and they don't have an embassy here. It has increased weapons sales in recent years, angering China with the sales. U.S. law requires the government to ensure Taiwan can defend itself. So a law was passed here in the United States that makes it mandatory that we make sure Taiwan can defend itself. Beijing regularly pressures American companies to try to influence U.S. policy. The State Department said it had notified Congress of plans. This is a day later. State Department said it notified Congress of plans for a $2.37 billion sale of Harpoon attack missiles to Taiwan. Tensions over Taiwan have been mounting as Beijing has stepped up military activity around the island to try to force concessions for pro-independence, the pro-independence administration of Taiwanese President Zhang Ing-wen. Raytheon, Boeing, Lockheed Martin, and other defense industry giants face controls of sales to China on military and dual-use technologies that have both defense and commercial applications. One of the Lockheed Martin missile plants is in Cortland, Alabama. I wasn't aware of that there's a Lockheed Martin plant in Cortland. I was aware that Alabama has a big NASA. There's a big presence of NASA in Alabama, which a lot of people probably aren't aware of or know about. Thanks, Sissy. Thanks for sending me that. A lot of the planes on there are grounded, though they're not all in the air. Yeah, some of the some of the planes that are on some of the planes on here are grounded, and you can pretty much tell that if you know. One way you can tell it. Let me go back over there to it real quick. One way you can tell it is real quickly. I didn't want to zoom in that far. Okay, let's just take this one right here. WZZ, it just took off from Kiev, and we should be able to see the altitude. It's currently at 21,000 feet. It's traveling at 370 knots now. So this has just departed and is climbing. Okay. Kiev to Warsaw is just taken off. Supposed to take off at 5:40, took off at 6:27. So yeah, when we go back over to like around here around Budapest. Okay, not all the planes here are in the air. When you're out over these areas, yeah, the planes are in the air. There aren't airports close by. So yeah. It's 3 miles from my mom's, and I do have a military only tracker, but I've been asked not to use that in public situations. I don't have a missile tracker unless the missiles come through on one of my other trackers. So hopefully that won't be a necessity. All right, I'm coming up on an hour here. I'm getting ready to close things down. Thank you all out there for watching. Anybody has a comment or anything here before we wrap it up? Anybody have a question? Hop in the chat. Let me know. Gone a little longer than I planned, but my hope now, normally I do these lives on Thursday night, and they're called the People's Platform, and we talk about a little bit of everything. This stuff's intense that we're talking about, and this is my second today. So I've been spending a lot of time on this. Thursday night, I'm hoping that nothing major's kicked off. Thursday night, I'm hoping 10:30 live. We'll talk about some other things, some things that aren't quite as potentially earth-shattering as the prelude to World War III. But that's what this is, potentially. It's the prelude to World War III. So, hey, thank you all for watching. If you'd like to help support the show, I don't know if this is a super chat and you can donate or not through the chat. But if you'd like to help support the show, it's $ American Doofus, all one word, and it's AMERICANDUFUS. If you want to message me or email me, you can do so americandufus at gmail.com. And we'll be back tomorrow. I'm not sure what time. It depends on how things develop. So hit the subscribe button. You can always unsubscribe later if you choose to, but I hope you don't. Hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell so you know when the show's on. You see that we show you things that you're not going to see on other sites or on mainstream media, especially. So share this with your friends. Let them know what we're doing here, what we've been doing here for a couple of years now. And I thank you all. God bless you all. If you're a Christian, let me get back. If you're a Christian, blessings upon you and your family. Otherwise, shalom, salam, namaste, nothing but peace and love. And it's the American Doofus Show. Don't be a doofus. I love you all. Also, I got 3 books out right now. And I've got the 3rd book is called America, Land of the Greed, Home of the Grave. And it's a novel, but it's a really good story. And it may be prophetic with how everything's playing out. buy the book if you'd like to help support the show. 2 other novels that were out, and this latest one is the first in the series, and I got the second one about 3/4 of the way done, so it'll be out soon. But thank y'all. I love y'all. Until next time, it's the American Doofus Show. It's a dark world. Try to be a light. Don't be a doofus. I love y'all. Thanks for watching.